Hey y'all, hey, grand rising, grand afternoon, and grand evening, kings and queens. Um, Back here. Okay, so I wanted to tell you all about some experiences. So, I have been very fortunate upon this spiritual journey to be able to come across or venture out to so many places. And just the spiritual experiences that I've had, just I would say just unmatched. And I'm sure a lot of people have had spiritual experiences when they travel, but traveling is not just all about, oh, look at the place that I'm staying, look at the bed, look at the activity that I did. For me, it's become a part of my spiritual journey, traveling, right? Those places that I'm supposed to go to, and the places that I'm supposed to go to in order to pick up those clues, right? And there's so many different ways, like people can pick up spiritual clues about who they are and this and that and the other and dream work, but traveling is also another way, right? So some years ago, people know that I went to Ghana, right? And if you scroll down through my TikTok, you'll see that I went to Ghana. I was excited, but I also was in a transition, in my life, a major transition. But let me just say that it jump started. Like, I'm very, very grateful. Certain events jump started me finding certain things out about myself and my lineage. So everyone knows that, I did post a video of me going to Cape Coast, right? And that's one of my highly viewed videos, was me going to Cape Coast. So when I went through the whole thing, but I didn't get to do the male dungeon. So at the end, they asked if I wanted to do the male dungeon. Well, energetically and emotionally, I was just tired and overworked and upset, right? After energetically walking through there and having to walk through a space where the women were the what is it, not the planks, but the wooden flooring was the original wooden flooring of where the whoever it is, the leadership was raping our women, right? So it was just a lot. And then to experience how other people was like taking it in, I kind of felt like I did a little disrespected, that people was like treating it as if they were at a photo shoot. And just respecting the fact that people have died here, but their experience is their experience. But just, I had to take a break from the group, and I was like, ugh, I had to emotionally get it together. Back to the male dungeon. Okay, so they said, and I was like, nah, I ain't going in there. And Spirit said, you have to go. And I was like, do I have to? And it was like, you have to go in. And I was like, okay. So I walked in, and they have different chambers for the men that the men first start off with. Then they go to these different chambers until they get to the very end. First chamber. Okay, so during this time, I was very aware already that I could feel, thank you, honey, that I could feel when Spirit was touching me, right? So I feel spirit touch my hand. And at this point, I'm not freaked out because I'm used to it. So, but I have my hand spread out. I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm like, spirit moves with me. So why right now you touching my hand? So, okay. I'm like, okay. They talking about, you know, how they had to use the bathroom in this one place, in the same spot. How they had to eat in the same spot, how they went long times without water, and how basically they would have like one little, it ain't even a full window, like one little hole at the very top, and it's hard for them to breathe. It was a lot. So we go to the next chamber, right? I don't feel spirit on my hand or whatever. I think it may be 4 chambers. And then the next chamber, I feel spirit hold my hand again, right? So I'm like, okay, what's about to happen? Is this about to go down? What's about to happen? The spirit done touched me again on my hand, like spirit's holding my hand. So I would say, like, before I had left America, I got very into like altars and venerating this and that and the other, right? So we go into the last chamber and I see like there's an altar there, and I'm like, oh, yes, cool. And I'm looking, and it was this guy that was like leaning on the altar, and I didn't see who was all in my group. So I figured that, thank you, honey, that he's a part of the group, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't think you're supposed to be leaning on that. And he was like, oh, it's okay. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, oh, the ancestors gonna get him. And so our guide is talking, and then the guy's like, yeah, and this is the priest, and points to the man. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And he said to me, he said, and told me to go sit down on one of the stools. There were a lot of like the Ashanti stools with the Adinkra symbols lined up against the wall. He told me to go sit down on one of them stools. Nobody else. I'm like, and I did. And it was like, well, you know, sometimes I'll be like, what? Excuse me? What? Excuse me? So yeah, I went ahead and sat down. And so he starts telling us stuff, whatever. And Spirit was like, he's gonna want to talk to you. So don't get up and try to leave. So after he finishes up, he asks people if they want to donate, and this, and that, and the other. And then before I get off the stool, before he even talks to me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him the offering, right? And I'm gonna give him more than what he's asking for. And so, he calls me up after everyone leaves out. And he was like, he starts pouring his libations and stuff. But he didn't ask, at this point, he didn't ask me for a donation. He hasn't asked me for one yet. He starts throwing his libation and spitting and starts talking. I believe it's in Fanti language. And my friend that had brought me there, he's from the area, and he speaks Fanti. How I met him is because he just so happened to be a Uber driver, one of my Uber drivers, and in Accra, and I was like, hey, I want to go to Cape Coast And he was like, yeah, I sometimes go there. And I was like, hey, next time you go there, can you take me with you? And he was like, yeah. So that is how that, that's how that happened. But anyways, so he's throwing my bases and stuff. And then he says, hey, you have a grandfather that passed away in this dungeon. When I tell you, I busted out crying, like uncontrollably. Like, can you imagine coming all of that way? In the last place, like the first place that they start the tour, you come a little bit late, so you missed that part, right? And then you get the opportunity to do it again. And you're afraid to, right? And you're overworked. And just because the road has been hard. And God tells you to go forward, and you feel scared, but you still go forward. My blessing was on the other side of fear, and that is your message, is that your blessing is on the other side of fear. Because if I didn't go in there because I was all emotional and upset about everything else about the castle, I would have missed that blessing to be able to even hear information from the male dungeon priest. You can still to this day go there, and he's still there manning that altar, because I've been there again afterwards, right? And for me, I'm always hoping that when my people go, that they're able to have some sort of similar experience, or throughout the continent, right? But everyone's not going to have the same experience. Everyone's not going to have the same confirmation. And I think being at a space spiritually, I was able to receive that message. And I thank God for that, because it's so many times that we travel about and we don't get it. Like, our soul gets it, but in this plane, right, we tend to not get it. And I'm just so happy that I got it. I was able to get it. I was in the space to get it. But yeah, after I got done crying, like, I don't know, like a 2-year-old, I don't know, like really crying. And they calmed me down. He was like, do you want a blessing? Honey, him even giving me that information without even asking for anything was a blessing, right? But let me tell you, I had already planned on, if he had asked for a donation, I was going to give it to him, right? So I gave him the I tried to give him and try to give me more, and the guy that was with me was like, no, he said, and I was like, no, I want to give him this. And he was like, okay. So I gave it to him, and he did his thing, honey, and he gave me like marks on my hand with the mud, and did his thing, honey, and I was happy. I was a happy camper after that. I was a happy camper after that. And it was just delightful to be able to know that I had an ancestor there that had passed away. Yeah. That lets me know that somebody made it. So all this stuff about black people don't come from Africa and they only come from America, honey. Do you know that we are a smorgasbord? We are so many, like, if you want to know what region you come from, and it's not just one. It's not just one. Like, it's just too much that happened and too much mixing that to just say that we are just indigenous Americans, maybe for you, right? If that resonates with you, fine. But what resonates with me is I'm so much more than just one. I am Native Indian Americans. I am from the continent of Africa. And that will take me into the next one, okay? From another part of Africa. Okay, bye. We'll talk about this later.